Hello everyone and welcome to Astroloca. My name is Ramavnur. Today we're going to do another weekly astrology survey, and this time we're going to continue looking into the coronavirus crisis and to understand why astrologically there seems to be an improvement going on and why we might see a backlash starting soon. Also, we're going to understand about the retrogression of Venus and why those of you who want to support your romantic relationships might want to take extra attention to take care of your words, speech, and understanding. So hello again. So this time we're looking into this week's astrology, and as I always say, this is not meant to be a personal reading for you, to do a professional reading about yourself. This horoscope needs to be compared with your natal chart, your birth chart, to produce the correct resolution to look into your specific life. However, we're going to learn something about the global energy and what is possible for us in this time. So, because we're still in the coronavirus situation, I always begin by talking a bit about how the situation develops. So, like I said last time, we can see here the cluster of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn over here. Now, this cluster is directly related to the crisis development, and so far, the conjunction between Saturn and Pluto, which has generated this crisis, has by now dissipated. However, as long as these planets are somehow entangled with each other, the situation proceeds. Because Saturn was moving forward and Jupiter was catching up, producing a conjunction with Saturn, things have been going towards unraveling and solution and moving forward with this situation. However, like many times, planets might retrograde. That means that from our perspective on Earth, the planet seems to be moving backwards. When this happens, the processes we're undergoing are going into challenges and limitations. So now Saturn has started retrograding, designated by this little R over here, and Saturn would retrograde from now until the 30th of September. That doesn't mean that until then things will be all bad, but it means that right now the forward moving energy of Jupiter and the retrograding energy of Saturn are in a sort of a clash, and that is why there is a lot of energy of moving out and forward out of the crisis, but Saturn still wants us to learn something. So for now it's a sort of stalemate. However, very soon, next week actually, Jupiter is going to start retrograding again, and that is where I foresee there would start a period where some difficulties might come again. I personally do not think that it will go into a second pandemic wave, but I've known to have made mistakes before. I believe the problem will be mostly social and economical, but everything is open, and like I said, we have to wait and see how things unravel. Having said that, I want to move to a different interesting energy happening right now, which is over here, the retrogression of Venus. Venus as well retrogrades right now. Actually, Venus retrogrades every 18 months, and when we have a retrogression of Venus, the romantic, artistic, and sexual aspects of our being are challenged. Now, right now, Venus is retrograding in Gemini, and that might influence mostly communication. Now, Venus is going to retrograde for a while. She's going to retrograde until the 25th of June, and during this time, misunderstandings and miscommunications that could lead to problems in the artistic, the creative, the romantic, and the sexual department, especially in relationships, is going to happen. That is why my recommendation is to watch carefully your words, the way they're being understood, and also the way you understand what is being directed at you. Again, Gemini is the sign of communication and mostly words. Venus is the sign of emotions, aesthetics, and eroticism. Now, when Venus retrogrades in this sign, the communication aspect might be a difficulty for relationships, especially because Mercury has just entered Gemini, where Mercury is very strong, so the intellectual mind becomes very powerful, but the emotional intelligence might diminish. This is being strengthened by the fact that there is this square here between Venus and Pisces. This is going to last until the 30th of May, and this is par excellence a transit of misunderstandings. Neptune, in its bad aspects, speaks about illusion, lack of connection to reality, and misunderstanding, and even going behind people's backs. So, in this kind of time, illusions might arise, and also we might be disillusioned. That means that when it comes to romantic relationships, certain disappointments arising from being disillusioned, discovering that a certain fantasy was not real, might arise. And again, this is a temporary period, but it is going to last until the 25th of June. And until then, like I said, work on the emotional intelligence, on the communication, and making sure you are being understood correctly. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and I see you next week with next week's weekly astrology survey. Until then, namaste. So hello everyone, and thank you so much for your attention and participation in today's video. If you like this kind of content, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe this video with anyone you think that might enjoy this kind of content. It really helps the channel. Thank you so much, and see you next week.